Welcome to a brand new episode of Lunch with Doug Plus, a unique and fun experience brought to you by the Music Exerbia Project. We are here today thanks to the generous support of our esteemed sponsors. John's Barbershop, located at 121 West Cherry Street in Nevada, Missouri. Open Tuesday through Friday, 10:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Walk-ins only, no appointment needed. The American Legion Post number 2, located at 402 East Cherry Street in Nevada, Missouri, newly remodeled with a clean, fresh look. Well, welcome to the show today, and as promised, the one and only Dominique Gabriella is here. How are you today?
Hey Doug, I'm doing fantastic. How about yourself?
It's great. I'm really great, actually. Um, it's really cool to be on the other side of the shoe. Usually you're interviewing me. Now I get to interview you. This is exciting. How does it
Yeah,
feel to be on the other side of the deal?
I'm kind of a little nervous because I
Oh,
don't usually get interviewed, but
yeah.
I'm
See,
excited.
when you're interviewing, you know what you're gonna say, and when you're getting interviewed, it's all surprises.
Yeah, right, right.
So I'll be asking the most awkward questions on the planet. No, I'm just kidding. No, but let's start for because people are seeing us like you're talking to me, and they see on the scene, and they know what it is. Those in Springfield know what it is a lot. And a lot of people are knowing that up here in Nevada. But beyond that, let's introduce them to what you do, how you got to on the scene, and tell us that.
Well, let's see, what year was it even? Oh my gosh, it was before 2020. I can't even remember what year anymore. But I was asked to head up the Springfield branch of After Hours. Branson used to have this thing called Branson After Hours, which showcased all of the musical events that happened after their normal um, theater shows got out. There was still, music going on at the bars and smaller venues, but nobody really knew about it. So there was this company that came and started highlighting, showcasing where to go to see these really cool other, acts. So I was brought in and trained for a couple months before they built a team for me up here in Springfield. And it's nobody else was doing what we were doing. Like absolutely nobody else was doing any type of video. There was a couple photographers that would go out to the venues to take some pictures of the musicians, but that was absolutely it. Um, then it was in 2020 that the business dissolved, not because of COVID, but because of other things. And the Springfield area music industry, I let them know that that's the non-for-profit for you guys out there that don't know anything about SAMI, Springfield area music industry. That is a non-for-profit that used to be here in Springfield to uplift the music scene here, and they would have meetings and just a whole bunch of cool stuff. Um, Anyways, I let them know that, hey, we will have to not be around anymore, and they were really bummed out about that because they thought that After Hours was a really it was a really good outlet for this area. So they actually gave me money to get, some small equipment to start my own thing. And I had my team from After Hours, and we just kind of started on the scene and with the support of the Springfield area music industry. So we've been around since July, like the mid-July of 2020, and we've just been going ever since. So.
Every day, every hour, on the hour. you you guys were very active, yeah. So as you progress in that, now tell us about some of the products that on the scene does. You have several different kind of things that you guys produce on a regular kind of going basis.
Yes.
Tell us about those things.
In the past, and this is what we were based on with After Hours too, is we would put together a list of everything that was going on during the week. all throughout the Springfield area and a little bit of the surrounding areas like Republic and Nixon and Ozark. Um, and this would list, yeah, every single venue that had any music related um, event. And then what else did we do? Let's see. We went to the events. Um, well, I'm sorry, before we would do some pre-promotion, we actually had a video version of the list just highlighting certain events that were coming up that week. So I had some of my hosts, uh, perform that. I would give them a list of, hey, these are some of the hot ticket, places to go for this weekend or this week. Let's highlight those and talk about those. So we did that for a little while. We've always done these segment called Behind the Scene, and that's a more in-depth version, in-depth interview to let the viewers get to actually know the musician, behind their music. So it usually is around 45 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes with the musician or the band, where they have a platform to just talk about them and also share some of their music. We would go out to the events as well when we were invited, and we'd get there early and try to hype up people to come out to the event. And when the event started, we took pictures and video. We've even gotten interviews with the bands that are performing the event, as well as some of the, people that are attending it, just really making it fun for everybody. And let's see, what else have we done? Oh, well, of course, balcony sessions is our most recent segment that we do, which you know very well since you were on. And that is a little shorter segment where 30 minutes of it is on Facebook Live. And that gives the chance for the audience to ask questions to the musician. So the musician gets to, well, I'll ask them a question. They get to play a song, and then I'll go back and ask a question. And if the audience watching has a question, I'll ask them. And then the next 45 minutes of it, we record. And we put that portion on our Patreon because, things cost money to keep us running. So Patreon is really where we get majority of our money coming in to help us keep funding, what we're doing. And I'm trying to think what other things we've had. Oh, we've had exclusive interviews with so many different musicians around. So those are just little shorter interviews just to let them know about, really cool events that are coming up, right away. And those are usually with our sponsors. And some of them aren't. Um, just like this one coming up is a music festival that's very first one of its kind that's going to start on the summer solstice. And so we had the person come in for that, and we would just talk about it. And my video editor would just throw in some pictures that they sent us. And so that's out there in the internet world. So people are aware that is happening. So we're just all about pre-promotion, promotion, being literally on the scene to record the fun moments of the event and
Very
showcase
cool.
all the wonderful musicians that are, performing around our 417 area.
Nice. Yeah, for real. You guys do a great job. And you got, I guess, YouTube, you got Facebook, and you got Patreon. Those are your main three like places, right?
So Facebook, yes, YouTube, Patreon. We do have a TikTok that we're trying to figure out more about. And of course, Instagram. But
Hmm.
majority of our stuff is on Facebook and our Patreon page.
Nice, nice. Yeah, the Patreon, and that's the Patreon's got the stuff that you can't see some of it on the other pages. It's got exclusive stuff that you got to subscribe to see. The
Right, right.
second half of your balcony sessions, or maybe you said that, and I
Mhm.
was zoning maybe.
Yeah,
But
the second half of the balcony session.
yeah.
And when we have, uh, there's only a small portion of us that are active right now of the team because, we're just everybody's super busy, and we all run on a volunteer basis at the moment. So if I don't have the team, then we can't do as much. So we're always looking for more members to volunteer. And we love to, in exchange for their help, we want to help them build their portfolio. So we will also have them as a non-paid sponsor, but they're still get all the option of a paid sponsor because they're helping us out.
Well, very cool. Very cool. Yeah. So what's I guess you also do some modeling for a magazine there in Springfield as well. That's something that's
Oh,
ongoing deal with you.
yeah, Dietra magazine, fashion magazine. Yeah, that's a local magazine here for all the fashion and the arts in the Ozarks, and that's ran by Tamra. And it's a great issue that she has out usually twice a year, but I think since COVID, she only put one out since COVID. But I used to do runway modeling for them because they used to have this runway um, show like at least twice a year. But that kind of all changed because of COVID as well. So hopefully they'll do that again. And yeah, I had a lot of fun, being, doing modeling for them for their shows and stuff.
That's cool. Yeah, I see if something every once in a while pops up from what they got going on, and then you guys occasionally say things about
Oh yeah, yeah,
what's happening.
they're some of our sponsors as well. So yeah, we always put some of their stuff out there, and I'm actually featured in this current issue of Dietra magazine.
Well, that
Um,
one's gonna sell out then, isn't it?
it was so wonderful. I mean, they did a really good job. And Matt Loveland, who is the photographer, he took all the pictures, and oh man, it was a great write up. I really liked it. They do a great job. So people out there, check out DietraMag.com.
But how do they get it? Do they subscribe online to buy it?
Yeah, they
Like,
would have to subscribe online. She did have some physical copies. I don't know if she still has some here with her anymore, but I know if you just go online and purchase it, it will be sent to you. I think it's only $20. But man, the it is just it looks so good. It's not just your, you know, put together magazine, just they spent a lot of time on it.
yeah, wow, yeah. I've seen a copy of it. Somebody had one in a waiting room or something there in Springfield or at a hotel or something. I seen one of them, and then I think you showed me some, just like pictures or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
on your
I
website.
I have
I
a
saw
few
some of
here at
their,
home.
yeah, I saw some of their, but some of your pictures that they had taken you sent, I saw through that. So
Yeah.
yeah, it looks like a really cool thing, and I mean, everybody's got to have some fashion, fashion
Yeah,
magazine.
I mean, it's
That's hip.
fashion, music, art. I mean, all of that is all about creativity.
Yeah, that's cool. Very cool. So what right now top bands you're really digging in Springfield? I know you're out there,
Springfield.
you're seeing all this music. You got to have some bands that are coming up with some fresh new
Oh, see,
music as
yeah,
you
that that's a real difficult one to just name some. Um, I can say I'm a little biased because Unessential Jane. So the
Mhm,
lead singer of that name is Karina Jane, and
mhm,
she used to be yeah, she used to be my one of my hosts on a regular basis. She also had to step down because she's super busy with her band and everything else. But Unessential Jane, they're very funky, very original music.
mhm.
Um, let's see who else. I mean, there's so many. Again, I really enjoy original music. And out in Ty and Timber, though, they have on Wednesday nights. I really like to see their Ty and Timber All Stars, which is a form of like four musicians that sometimes interchange, but they have their main group. But those musicians in themselves, they have their own bands, and each of their bands are super cool. And I mean, I can't even. go at a loss of all the names right now because there's so many. But Unessential Jane would have to be one of my favorites.
Well, that's fair to say. I saw a clip you put on with them, and they are really, really good. They got
Hmm.
some fantastic vibes going on, jams. So
Yeah.
I didn't get to see much. I saw a short clip. Do they have some music out online that you can hear, or is it
I think
just
they have a
live?
lot. They don't have anything. I don't think they have anything on Spotify yet, but I could be wrong
Uh,
on that. But I know that they have their own page and they play out pretty regularly, not like every month or anything, because they don't want to oversaturate the area.
yeah.
But just, hop on their page and you'll see when they play next. And I was thinking, oh yeah, Silence Between is another great one too, and that's all
Uh-huh.
original music.
Oh
And
yeah.
they've been up and coming for the last couple years. So oh gosh, there's so many. There is all
They're
gonna come running to me.
they're like building a music venue or something right now, right?
Oh, well, not them. They're gonna be performing at it. One of the members though is I think he's a financial supporter of Matt Baker and
Hmm.
his crew that are actually opening the music venue.
Okay.
And it's called
What is
Moontown Sound.
Yeah, Moontown Sound.
Mhm.
And it kind of started as a like a recording outlet, sort of, didn't it? They were like recording like live performances that were being recorded, and then
Um,
now they're moving into being like a place you can actually go see a live show.
well,
Am I
that was
right on that?
always that was always the plan was to make it a venue.
Okay.
Um, yeah, but it's city. Sometimes it takes forever. You have to jump through so many hoops just to
Mm-hmm.
finally get open. So, I mean, in the meantime, they've been having like small get-togethers of the music and stuff, and like Silence Between does play there, and same with gosh. I can't believe all these names are just leaving me. But yeah, they've had a few shows there. But yeah, their end goal has always been to open it as a venue.
Oh, cool, cool. Now, so will they have bands that are touring coming through, or will it all just be featuring regional bands that are in the
I
area?
think it's you would have to definitely confirm it with them, but my understanding is it's both. It's going to be an outlet for both.
Cool. That'll be cool. What's it?
Yeah, hopefully they'll be opening in the next couple of
Yeah,
months, but
I've
we'll see
saw a
how the
couple.
city is.
I saw a couple things about it on the internet pops up
Mhm.
here and there, but I'm not completely plugged in. But I'm wondering how big of a capacity it would be, do you know?
Um, Matt once told me, and I do not remember. I know it's not super small, but it's not super huge. The pictures that I have seen of it, it I would guess it probably could hold at least 200.
Yeah,
That's my guess, but
that's kind of the vibe I was getting. I just only saw pictures of the stage, but based on how big the stage was, I'm thinking, okay, well, they gotta have some other room in there. So
to be
it
able to
just
stand around,
felt
yeah.
like it was gonna be a pretty big room, a decent
Yeah.
size room. That's cool. That's cool. Well, sorry I'm asking all these questions. If anybody knows, it's gonna be you.
Well, I mean, I'm just getting filled in by my friend Matt,
Yeah,
who's the
yeah.
one that is the main guy from Dancing Sound Man, if you are familiar with that. Is it? But Matt Baker was the president of the Springfield
Yeah,
area music industry, Sammy, and that's I knew him from before that, but yeah.
sure. Yeah. And he's what's he do? He plays an instrument too, right?
Oh
He's
yeah,
a
he plays
musician. Yeah.
instruments and he's spoken word. He does a lot of spoken word type stuff. He's really good. I mean, he's very, very talented. And then he has his business Dancing Sound Man, which
Hmm.
is, he is so busy. Oh my gosh, how many shows that him and his crew are doing sound for is just amazing. I'm very happy for him.
Oh
That's why
yeah.
I had to kind of focus more on that than on Sammy
Right.
because, when it's a nonprofit and you're not getting enough funding, you have to go where the money is, especially when you have a family.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, you gotta keep the bills paid and the
Mhm.
dollars cooking.
Right.
But that's also a good thing though. You do the nonprofit, and the nonprofit's supposed to sort of help the area launch, and then it sounds like it's things are launching, so that's really good.
Hmm.
So what you've done, your efforts are being fruitful, right?
Right.
It's you guys are in bloom, like
Yeah. And we
Nirvana.
all love the music community. We all, see that it needs to be shown to it just can't just sit here and nobody know about it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and I guess this is off a little bit too. I don't know how much you guys had to do with any of this, but there for a while there was that fellow that was doing the late night TV show there in town at the Gilroy, I think, and they were having bands featured from Springfield, but then they were getting on his television show that was going. I
oh, the
understood it
mystery
went.
hour?
Yeah, I understood he had some real serious distribution on that program.
Oh yeah, I think he even got some type of a couple of awards or something too. Um, yeah, I think that also slowed down for him during COVID. And then I know that he does them every once in a while, like pops up and all of a sudden, hey, there's another mystery hour. But
Hmm.
I don't know when he's going to do another one.
It's a
But
mystery.
yeah, it's too bad. It was like our late night TV, like like a late night TV show, like Jimmy Fallon or something, but
Yeah,
our
yeah,
own,
yeah,
and that
yeah.
was really cool. He did host the Ozark Jubilee this past November because they were doing like a some type of uh some type of thing about the Ozark Jubilee. I think it was like an anniversary. And so they had it there at the Fox Theater downtown on the square and had it set up exactly how they used to have the Ozark Jubilee going on. And then I forgot what bands they had, but yeah, it was really, really, really fun. But I got to go there as on the scene to do a short interview with the people, and then we just watched it. We weren't allowed to take pictures and video, but at least we got to take part
Yeah.
because Ozark Jubilee. I mean, those people out there, if you don't know anything about what the Ozark Jubilee is, go educate yourself because it's really
Uh
cool that we had this here in the
huh.
Ozarks. So cool. We were kind of like Nashville before Nashville was Nashville. It's
Yeah.
it's like it's too bad, but at the same time, maybe it's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I know a guy up here, this fellow named Joe Willis, and he's going to be on. I'm going to interview him at some point. And he was with his uncles were the Willis brothers, which they were around during that time, and they
Mhm.
had whatever hit songs out at that around that. And they used to do the Ozark Jubilee, and he will tell me about how amazing and everybody was there, like all the people that were on Grand Ole Opry were really there in Springfield first, and it was like
Yeah.
I think it was the first. I think it was like a radio show. I don't know if it was televised. I think then Grand Ole
Yeah,
Opry got
I'm pretty sure it
televised.
was radio first and then they
Yeah,
turned it
but
into video. And cool
they were
fact, I used to
certainly.
work for the radio station that had the Ozark Jubilee.
Oh
Like
wow.
that was one of my jobs before I ended up doing after hours and on the scene. I worked for that radio station, KWTO.
Yeah. Nice.
Mhm.
Imagine that. Dominican radio. No
Oh,
way. No
no,
way.
no way. But no, I did sales. I wasn't actually on the radio at that time. That would have been fun.
Well.
They wouldn't
Yeah,
give me
you
a chance. Mr. Meyer would not give me a chance.
oh man, dang it. Yeah. I had a dumb move one time. I know this interview is not about me, but I once was able to they offered me an internship at the one that was the big rock station down
Hmm.
there, US 97, but what
Hmm.
the conglomerate, they had like four stations.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was offered an internship there, and then I turned it down like a dummy when I was young because I just wasn't paying attention. I didn't know what I was being offered, and I was like, looking back, I was like, dang it, I was like, that was a pretty big opportunity that I said no to. And
Yeah.
good move, Doug. Good job. So so but I was just like, it was it was an internship, so it was unpaid, and
Yeah.
I was thought I was pretty big for my britches at the time, and now looking back, I was like, I should have took the unpaid because you would have worked yourself into something if you were good
Right.
at what you did. But
Yeah. Especially in the early years. I mean, it really is
uh
about who you know. Networking
yeah,
is crucial
yeah.
in our
So
business.
I was like, oh yeah, because they're like they're owned by like I think Sirius or something, one of the biggest, one of like in the top three nationwide radio station conglomerates like owns them, and they did
Uh-huh.
then too. And
Uh-huh.
I didn't know who I was dealing with. And I was like, wait a minute, that's a gigantic deal. So
Hmm.
bad move, Doug. Do your homework. Right. But I just waltzed in thinking, oh, it's just a radio station in Springfield, just another station. Yeah. No, no,
Well,
no,
did you
no,
know?
no. Little did you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. When I got hired onto KWTO and all the other radio
uh-huh.
stations, that conglomerate, I didn't know much about it either because I'm not originally from Springfield, so I I was in the music scene at that time for I don't know about like 8 years or something. So I wasn't too knowledgeable on everything. And then when I got hired on there and got to know the history and everything, oh man, I was like, wow, this is really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Radio is cool. I love radio. I like it better than TV, but the value, you can see the value of video because it's so nice to have something to see, with it. But
Hmm.
just the old school radio, that mystery of not knowing what the DJ looked like, and
Right.
even in the early days of like earlier in music, and even when I was a kid, they had videos, but everything didn't have videos.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you really didn't know what the bands looked like and stuff unless you actually went to see them live.
Right.
So and you got just a little 2-page thing of what the picture was in their dang album cover. And that's all you knew about them. That was your little gateway,
Yeah.
before the internet where you could go to their websites and before they were on. And honestly, almost like now, I almost don't like watching like when I see a celebrity that is on like TikTok. It's not bad that a celebrity's on TikTok, but when I see a celebrity on TikTok acting like me, or you just looks
Yeah.
like a normal person, it takes the fun away for me. I'm just like, I don't want to watch that.
Yeah.
I want to watch they get $1 million movies produced and all this money. Like, why would you want to do this thing? You know, but they need it too. They need to be this content going all the time and stuff. But I just don't like it. I mean, and I'm a big like I really like Jack Black, but I just don't like his some of his videos. I'm just like, and they're funny and everything's fine about it, but I'm like, I just don't want to see you in your backyard, Jack. I want to see you on the silver screen. So I kind of like the mystery a little bit and kind of miss
Yeah.
it
Well,
some.
there's two kinds of people then because
Uh-huh.
I like the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I want to, they're just normal people as well. So if they screw up, I don't feel as bad when I screw up.
Yeah. Well, I guess seeing a little behind the scenes is cool, because like my favorite artists, like that
Hmm.
I really like, you do want to have a little bit of behind the scenes, and you do want to see them as real people. But
Yeah.
I just think, I think that just the anticipation of it and the regularity of it, it takes away. You know what I mean? You see them too
Yeah.
much,
I see
like,
it too much. Yeah.
and that's what I mean. I think for the future, here, my future prediction for you is that this will be a thing that kind of is bad move for them. 2 to 5 years from now, they'll be talking in the industry about how that was a bad move for those celebrities. Because now, however, a lot of them have went to kind of obscurity, and it kind of helps bring them back to your top of mind awareness, is what they would call it, in advertising. So yeah, you're thinking about them, but I think the having the distance. Let's look at ACDC, for instance, the band ACDC. They usually have a long block of years between albums, and again, they would do things, but it's all pretty much, but they're highly successful, right? They'll do an album. They'll have a couple music videos. 3 years will pass. They'll have another album, a couple videos, and they're touring in between. They're doing their touring thing, but and like highly successful. I'm like, I wonder why that works so much for them.
Hmm.
Um, but I think that they'll be like in a few years they'll just be like that won't be a thing again because what we're shooting for as regional artists and local artists, what we want is we want a little more mystery, and we want people to not know us as much. That's what we're
Hmm.
kind of shooting for. It's kind of like they're coming down and we're moving up a little bit,
Right.
you know so we are getting more because it's helping us, but it's hurting them. It's bringing them down.
Yeah.
So it brings us more, which also is good. It brings us more to the same level of playing field, right? Which is
Uh-huh.
cool for me.
but not cool for $1 million companies. So the $1 million companies in a few years, they're going to be like, ooh, 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 we were that's no good. No, no, don't do
Yeah.
that. You
Yeah,
see?
yeah, I mean, I definitely agree that some things need to be left a mystery. I'm a very private person myself, and I don't post much of my private life on Facebook like so many other
Uh-huh.
people do. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
need that privacy, need to have that little bit of you just for the intimate group you have, that nobody else knows about or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of, I don't know. I have weird thoughts sometimes about, not weird, but just, I see things from this other angle. I'm like, what's going to happen with this? And, what are we building up to? And what are we building right now that we're going to know about in a few years? And you see that in a lot of things. They're like,
Mhm.
they won't know, you won't really know what's happening. And then they'll talk about it in a few years. And you're like, oh, wait a minute. Then it all, because it kind of comes to fruition or whatever fruition that is. So as I'm saying this, let's ask you about, like, what is next for you? I mean, what is it that you are one, what is it that you really want to do with what all that you're working for? You're working, you're spending all these hours, you're trying to make something to become to a certain place. What is that place that you're wanting to get to? And in the meantime, what is that you're going to do in between to get there? Those are the things I
Well,
want to know.
I mean, I've absolutely always had a passion to help out musicians. I've been a band manager. I've been uh, a booking agent. I've worked in venues. Gosh, so many different kind of things. I've gone to school for this, basically. So really my goal is just to put a spotlight on those musicians that really need to get heard. I really do focus on original music, original artists, because I feel like that's super, super important. Not saying anything against the people that do covers, being cover bands and stuff like that. I mean, that's awesome too, but I really feel it's important to shine a light on those ones that are making their own. So I really want to show everything that goes into that. So, I mean, something that I plan on doing in the future would be going to band rehearsals and recording, what they're doing just in the process of what their, band practices or just anything, honestly, just to show the public, hey, these people exist. This is who they are behind the music. This is how they got to be who they are, why they write the kind of music they do. Um, and like for the venues, I still want to support the venues as well. The ones that are, you know, making, have their doors open for these kind of musicians. So I want to, encourage people to come out to these venues that are um, hosting, these musical events with these awesome people and get to know them. So people come visit their venue. Like Archie's Lounge is a really cool one here. That was one of our sponsors too, and they have an amazing patio. So there's people that are like, oh, I don't know where to go. I want to do a patio thing, but I do want to play pool. I want to hear music. I would do video there so people knew, hey, there's something out here that is different than all the other venues because they have plants all over the place. They have events that are that you won't find at other places. And they also do a lot of charity work, so it's highlighting venues as well. So, to go to your question, my goal is just to continue showing the best way we can possible that these musicians exist and these cool venues exist. And how we do that is just continuously put stuff on our platform because we have about 6K followers or a little more. Can't remember what the last count was on Facebook, and then over 1,000 now on Instagram. I don't even remember what it is anymore, but we do have this platform. So I want to create as much content as possible to highlight, everything that's going on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's 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 good stuff. It really is. I mean, because like you said, when you a lot of times that's what holds people back, I think, from going to a venue is they don't realize like how cool of a place it is. And
Yeah.
and maybe it's too much of an effort to like just go down and take a chance on it. But when you have a little bit more information, I mean, that's why they like Google searches and they read reviews and see pictures of stuff. That's helps them get there because, or what's the other one? There's another one that is online that they look at, venue reviews and stuff. But they look at
Yeah.
that and then they Yelp. They learn about the more about it because especially if you're driving, if you're just outside of Springfield. I mean, you might literally be by the time you drive down there, you might have 4 or 5 miles in it, and then 4 or 5 miles back, you got a 10 mile round trip,
Yeah.
and you got traffic and you got all this stuff, and you're like, well, I want to make sure that I go to somewhere that I'm gonna have a good time at. I don't want to waste the trip,
Yeah.
or the effort, so to speak. So
Yes.
having that is
Yeah. And
good.
so if I like, if people know about On the Scene, they're like, oh, well, I've heard about this venue. Maybe On the Scene has been there before and they could look through our videos and like, oh, okay, this is what it looks like. And that's with the bands as well, It's like, oh, I don't even know what this band sounds like.
Hmm.
So, and I think that's what is keeping a lot of people out, away from, just going. It's like, okay, cool name, but am I gonna like the
Hmm.
music? Do I really want to spend the money? Um,
Yeah, yeah. And when bands they don't have like music videos, they don't have what I mean, especially even the bands that are on big labels, the labels aren't giving them money for videos like they used to.
yeah.
So you might get a video, but it's a lyric video, that doesn't really tell you a whole lot more than what you knew before, except I now know what the words are and I can sing along.
Right.
So that's helpful in some regard, but not so much, not really helping them if they're gonna in the discovery process. When you see those videos, you go to those videos, you've already discovered them, and now you want the lyric video because you want to see the words or whatever. So
Right.
usually you've already discovered the band by the time you've looked for the lyric video. So I'm like, and that'll be a lot of the bands that I know. That's the first thing they do. They're like, oh yeah, we need this visualizer lyric video, and I'm like, are you sure about that?
Right.
I'm like, I
Right.
think I think they need to know what you guys look like. And they're like,
Right.
we're not doing physical product. And I'm like, well, so they get one picture of your
Uh-huh.
album cover on the online thing. Sometimes the bands don't even have a really good picture of the band or whatever, the artist,
Oh my gosh.
and it's like, that's like, it's a cool picture, but it just doesn't tell you anything. And again, we go back to the mystery part of it, that there's some cool thing with that. But at the
Hmm.
same time, as you develop yourself as a fan, you have to have the next step to go to as a fan. There's got to be the next step, so to speak. And that's like, bands don't even have the glossies anymore. I mean, you don't send out press kits to venues anymore. I know that's expensive, but like
Well, I mean,
the
we have the EPK, the electronic
well, I
press
know.
kit. So,
Well, I know you do, but the you do because you're an agent, so you are. But now, how about the other 900,000 bands that don't have a
oh my
you?
gosh. And see, that is a huge reason why, I mean, why On the Scene exists too, is like, because I, again, I've been a band manager, so I know that the musicians, half of them don't even know how to do most of that
Yeah.
business stuff. So they're behind of making an EPK. A lot of band pages, their Facebook pages, they only have a couple hundred, followers. So they're maybe promoting on their own page, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
but it's only going to that small little group.
Well, yeah, and then there's a
Yeah,
hundred people that like it, and then when the algorithm pushes it, only like 12 of them get the
yeah,
actual thing, and they're like,
right.
people are so misguided. They think, okay, well, I have 500 people on Facebook that like my
Yeah,
page. Well, they're not seeing every post you say. Even when
right.
you put the little at sign for everyone, they still don't see it. More of them
It,
maybe see it, but if you do that too much,
exactly.
the algorithm throws you off anyway. So,
So yeah, so you either have to pay for Facebook ads
yeah.
or which honestly, I've never paid for Facebook ads myself, and I have gotten like there was this one month I had like 20,000 views like 20,000 views on one of these events. And I'm just like, wow, that is so cool. I wish more people could see, that On the Scene
Yeah.
is really,
Well,
a,
see,
a
that's
good
when,
outlet because it's getting your stuff that we repost or will create our own thing out to that many more people instead of your 100 or a couple hundred
uh-huh.
people that you
That's
don't
that's
know if
real.
they'll even come.
That's rule number one. You probably know this, but for somebody that's watching, rule number one is if you are going to do ads on social media, but especially Facebook, you do not want to buy an ad on something that is not performing, right?
Right.
You got to make sure it's organically performing, and then when it's doing well, then you advertise.
Right.
So that's when it really does the springboarding. It'll get you more views by advertising when there's nothing, but if it's not a good algorithms are algorithms, even if they're paid or not, it's just it helps it even more. So you got to make sure it's something that's, so you test it, you get your organic thing that's going, and then once it's good, you're like, okay, that's doing good, and then you advertise that. But what a lot of bands do, this is my favorite thing, and not just bands, but like business people too. I know I tell the pizza story about the lady that had the restaurant that decided she was going to do pizza by the slice, right? And I was all excited about it. And I was like, she's like, yeah, I think this will be a good thing. And I'm like, yes, it will. There's no other buddy, in town except like this gas station doing pizza by the slice.
Mm-hmm.
She tries it for 3 days. Okay. 3 days. Now I know about it. And I'm going to go on Friday to get my pizza by the slice. I'm all excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even have time. She's done with she does 3 days. She's done with it before I can even get my pizza. And I was like, you can't try something for 3 days. And bands are the same way. They think, okay, my song is old, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, well, is it doing good? Is it has traction? Sometimes you got to let it build a little while, and then you got to go revisit it, and you got to boost it a little bit again. So you got to
Yeah.
at the same time, you got to come out with something new too. But also you got to you can't just like, because I mean, I'm serious with you 100%. If you get 2 months, okay, because I can tell this from my own stuff, and I've done 30 albums, okay, 30 albums. 2 months, that's what you get on an album. Okay, you'll have a little boost, and if you advertise or whatever, you put some momentum in it, and you've been building up to it for maybe 6 months, telling people about it, whatever, or 3 months, so you got this momentum, it comes out. You've got 2 months. They're with you for 2 months, and they're ready for something else at 2 months. Now, however, that doesn't mean that your album is dead. It just means they're ready for something fresh. Okay. So then you got to go back, analyze your album, see where the good things are, and then pick through that, and then come out with something new, like a new single. But with the new single or a new EP, you also come out with a second version of the song, or that's when you release a new video, second video, or an outtake or something. You come back, but you find what worked, okay, and not what you thought worked, and not what really worked according to your data and your fan base. And a lot of groups, that's the thing. Artists aren't always artists aren't always entrepreneurs. They're artists. Some of them are entrepreneurs, and some of them are artists too, but most of them, that doesn't, and it's no fun to go in. I mean, it sucks. Why to go in? I mean, I kind of enjoy it, but even when you kind of enjoy it, it sucks to go in and look through a bunch of freaking numbers and data. I mean, that's an accountant's job.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and then
They want to focus on, staying creative, and
yeah,
I totally understand. It's hard to
uh,
do both the business side, all the
uh,
uh, uh, that
yeah,
stuff, and then also do your weekly rehearsals with your band and coming
uh-huh.
up with new music and have to practice it during the week. So when you have a new rehearsal, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, yeah, and even me, like I'm so into music industry, business stuff. It's excites me kind of, but not just music, just business in general,
Hmm.
all this stuff. But at the same time, so then I start getting all shop talky, when you're talking to somebody about like maybe even now, I'm starting to have this thing that these people that are watching are probably like, what is he babbling about? Like they want to know about like, oh, this is what the general public wants to know about. Okay, James, the guitarist for Metallica, he jumped off a building with a bungee cord yesterday.
Oh my God.
That's what people want to know. Now, I'm just making this up. This is hypothetical, but you see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
oh, the lead vocalist from Metallica just what? He went to Empire State Building and jumped off with a bungee cord. Well, that's an interesting story. That's what sells music,
Yeah.
Like the new album is out, and we like the music, and even the fans of us, we're like, okay, there's another album where some of us are more excited than others if you're pinning on it. But what makes us look at that album is that, you know what I mean? That's what people want. That's what people are interested in. Even me, and I should know better, but like I'd be clicking that so quickly to see the picture or read the story,
Yeah.
like that. That's the kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff that the bands don't tell the people about the good stuff. Like, it's like there's all this good stuff that you could be telling them, and then they forget to tell them the good stuff, Like, I want to know, like, if the inside, okay, so here we go back to the Jack Black thing. Jack Black acting like Superman in his backyard doesn't excite me. Okay. He's in his backyard and he's like Superman. I mean, it's funny, and it's, and there's probably somebody that's a real diehard Jack Black fan that would like that. And his dad was in the video. So that's interesting. You get to see his dad, so that's cool. But what we really want to see is like, Jack Black is, he went on a safari and he got his Jeep stuck in the mud on the safari in, Africa. That's what we want to see. That's the behind the scenes you want to see. And he's kicking the tire and he's upset at the tire. That's the real thing you want to see, The playing Superman in the backyard is like, it is real because it's his backyard, but it's still not real. You know what I mean? We want to see the real thing. Like, Jack Black is like, that's the article we want to read. Oh, well, what? He went on a safari? Like, nobody knew that, Oh, well, is he a hunter? What's he hunting? All these
Maybe he should have jumped off the entire, the jump in a Superman costume.
Now that would be good. See Jack Black bungee jumping in the Superman concert or costume. I want to see that. And that's relevant because there's a new Superman movie. Jack, if you're watching, please bungee jump for us.
Yeah, I think that's something too. I think more artists should, when their music is in a movie, they should promote that movie, obviously, but figure out creative ways of doing so. But that's also promoting their music.
Yeah.
Because I know that when I was a band manager, I did get a couple of my artists into music into some independent films. And, for them, it's super cool that they got their music in there. And maybe even the independent film creator isn't that well known. But if both of them are promoting, the film people promoting the film, but also promoting the artists that are on the film, and then vice versa, just cross promotion always should happen.
You know who the best was at that? They call that fusion advertising, right?
Yeah.
Fusion. You know who the best was at that? Ready for this?
Who?
Remember Geico?
Yeah.
Geico was the ambassador in the 21st century of fusion marketing, because it was always like two brands, and then here they are together, and you're like, it was amazing. It blew my mind. I literally, when I saw that, that's how I found out what that term was, because I was like, what just happened? That ad just blew my mind. I'm like, I don't know who's paying for it. Like, who's paying for it? Who's advertising? You don't know who's advertising, but you're getting advertised to. And I was like, I want this. And so I read like 20 books on it. It was crazy. I was obsessed with it. Like, lost sleep over it for a month or two. Oh. Like, I'm not even making that. Yeah. So local artists, regional artists, that is the thing. And they use the word collabs now. They're like, oh, you need to do these collabs. And they tell them all this BS. Like, you need a co-writer and collabs. and it's all cute, and then they're trying to do it. And no, that's not what you need. You need freaking fusion marketing is what you need.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a collab. There's two people. Like, we're collabing right now on the scene with
Right.
Doug. This is a collab, but
Right.
like, it's not like we're just casually collabing, and that's what Geico did. They casually collided two brands together that don't belong together, and it made great TV. And then you're
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, there's a phone number at the end. I guess that's a Geico ad. I need
Yeah.
insurance,
I always thought
Oh,
it was a cool idea to have shows where it's two different styles of music.
oh
So
yeah,
two different genres of music.
yeah,
So it could help the fan base, It's like,
yeah,
okay, these people are here for this band that plays this style, but they're also fans of this kind of music, and they get to bring somebody in that likes that kind of music. So they get to see two styles of music that maybe they wouldn't have seen otherwise because they wouldn't have just gone to, say, a country show, or they
yeah,
only like metal, and
yeah.
they would have never gone to a country show. But hey, the opener for this metal band is hardcore country.
No, no, I wouldn't recommend that without bodyguards, though. Somebody now that those two genres maybe don't belong together, but
I
like,
don't
that's
know.
yeah.
I know an artist that went from some punk rock and then switched over to country.
It could probably work in Springfield. It could probably work there, but I don't know everywhere though.
No, not everywhere. Absolutely
I
not
don't think I'd
everywhere.
try that in Omaha. I don't think, or like Oklahoma City, probably not
Yeah.
working there.
No, no.
Maybe Oklahoma City because it's city enough, but anywhere else in Oklahoma, no.
Yeah. But yeah,
But yeah,
promotion, it seems like it could get lost,
uh,
promoting back in the day, it was like, handbills and flyers and stuff. You can put a handbill on somebody's uh on somebody's car or something, and
oh
or just pass them out and stuff. And you don't really see that much anymore, as
yeah.
save
Nowadays
for.
you get a fine for that.
Yeah, yeah,
Nowadays.
exactly. I think it's still important to have those handbills,
Yeah.
and put posters up at designated places that allow posters. But with promoting like online, it can get messy because there's so many events on Facebook, and if you're not plugging in all the little things where it asks you when you're making the Facebook event, if you don't have everything on there, it's not going to populate on Facebook under the events. I've realized that when I was putting together the list, that took me like, oh my gosh, it took me about 6 hours a week to put this together, and I'm not getting paid for it. And I'm like searching every single venue's Facebook page. And then I have, I know so many musicians since I've been in the music industry for like over 20 years. Um, and so I would go to their personal Facebooks and find out if they have some stuff going on, and that's how I would collect everything. And that's why it would take me so dang long. But when I would go to Facebook events and I would plug in the dates that I want and stuff, I was not finding everything. I was not finding everything that I put together in one source or list. And it's because the musicians, they're not putting it into all the Facebook groups that should have them out there. And then, the venues aren't really promoting it either. So it could just, and then they wonder why nobody's coming to the show. So, so
Yeah, like,
with promotion, like people need to really get on it, or you're just going to have an empty venue every single time.
yeah, yeah. I think a lot of this, and this goes for small businesses too, or any business really. And they're like, okay, I'm like, so how many people do you think you want to actually show up? And they're like, you know what? If there was just 20 paying customers, we'd be great for the day. This is
Hmm.
like small business. And I'm like, all right, so you need 20 customers. So it's all a science of math. So I did the mathematics one time, and I said, you know how many people you have to reach to get your 20 people in the door? Now that's 20 people in the door that they may not pay, they may not buy something, but this is the number to get 20 people in your door. In one day, one time, you have to reach 57,000 people within about a 35-mile radius, okay, to get 20 people in your door. Now, some towns, believe it or not, do not have 35,000 people within a 35-mile right. Now, Springfield does, but some towns don't have that. And I'm like, so when I tell them that, and they're like, well, there's not that many people in that radius. And I said, well, then I guess you're going to have advertise farther than you think you have to advertise. And they're like,
Right.
well, nobody will come, So I'm like, you have to reach that number to get that number. It's a mathematical equation. So like, how, if you don't have 35,000 people within a 35-mile radius, or 57,000 people, how would you do that? Well, you expand your reach. And they do not agree with that. It blows their mind. But then there's nobody there. And I'm like, well, there you go. It's a numbers game, But you wouldn't think 20 people, 57,000 people. So you want 20 people tomorrow, and you want 20 different people, you're going to have to reach 57,000. Essentially, some of them will come again. Maybe some of the people you reached didn't come the day before. But like you're ultimately trying to get new people that you're reaching each day. And it is crazy. It is insane what it takes, what kind of reach it takes to get something to happen. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it is a lot harder to get people in the doors anymore. I mean, because a lot of people just don't have the money anymore to go out.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
So
there's those other factors that that come into play besides their decision.
right.
Like, is this the first time you've reached them? And then that's the next equation, is how many times do you have to reach them before they even consciously decide that they might make a decision on what you've told them. And that number traditionally is 21 times. So that means if you're a band and you have to you want one guy, one person, or one girl to come see you, that one person needs to hear about it 21 times before they make a conscious decision or even start to consider it. They have to hear about it 21 times. So we go back to the thing, to get the 20 people in the door, ultimately the 57,000 reach. Yeah. But ultimately in that, some of those 20 people might have heard your reach. They might have caught onto that also more than that time. That's just 57,000 unique people, right? But while you were doing your broadcast, you might have actually had to reach more than that, because you reached those people. Maybe they were decision makers faster. Maybe they'd already heard about you 20 times before that you reached them the one time, right? And then they made the decision. So it's really, really.
You have to be a bug. You just have to like those annoying mosquitoes. It's always there,
Well, yeah,
Or
but then you gotta be stealth or clever about it to where you don't really annoy them, because you could annoy them.
It's like, get the hell away. Yeah, you don't want to get smacked away. Like
they could hate you and never want it again. Basically, tricky.
You want to make sure that you're not forgotten.
Exactly. Top of mind.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm going with all this, but it's a fun conversation. I think that people that are I want to think that the people that are watching this are into the music, and they're probably, a lot of them are musicians or artists or booking agents or whatever. So hopefully they're relating and giving us some thumbs up right now. So I guess before I wrap up, and we're getting kind of long on time. So like, what is it? Is there something that you want to tell us that I didn't ask you? What can you tell us that you'd really like to share with our viewers today?
Let me think. Well, I would want to say that, okay, so if you're a musician, don't give up. Just don't give up. Do whatever you do. Do not give up. There's so many people out there that are willing to help you get seen. Not just on the scene and you, but there are so many people out there that want to help in the music community, that wants to help up and coming musicians. So definitely don't give up. And that's something that I always ask my guests, my musician guests, is like, what is one thing that you would want to tell, a future musician or somebody that's just getting out there? And they all say, just keep at it. Don't give up. Don't give up. I mean, with us as on the scene, it's been hard, but we have so much fun doing it, and I know that we have made an impact in several ways. And there's so many people now that go out there and do video and do pictures of musicians and these events. So that's why we kind of scaled back of going to these events live, because there are so many more of these people out there, catching on and letting their people know that there's music out there. So like even if it doesn't seem like it's going anywhere, just keep on keeping on and be creative. And what else would I don't know. Give us a call on the Cena call if you want to be a balcony session guest and get your music out there, and new audience too. Yeah, I didn't mention with the balcony session, as you know, there is a restaurant below the balcony, so you're playing towards the camera, but the people downstairs on the patio eating, they get to get a treat and have live music. So
Yeah, I love the balcony sessions, both sides of the coin. I love it as a viewer. I love it as a performer as well. It's a wonderful. When I first saw, I think honestly, I think maybe balcony sessions might have, maybe I knew you a little bit before that, and I'd probably saw what you were doing, but I think balcony sessions is what really like drew my attention to what you were doing. I was like, wait a minute, this is good. This is really, really something magical that's going on here. And like the day I played it, I mean, literally, like, between the time I played the deal and then left in the car and I'm heading back to Nevada, like, Nevada's an hour and a half from Springfield. There was over 1,000 people that had saw the video in that short amount of time, So I was like, it started out, we didn't know how many people are viewing and all that. And I'm like, oh, well, and then I looked at it like before I left, and it wasn't all that impressive of a number right then. I mean, it was, but I was like, okay, that's cool. Just another thing, right? But then I'm like, how many people have viewed it? Like, we're not even home, and I'm like, this thing's blowing up. Like, I've got friends people I hadn't talked to in years are saying, like, from California are messaging me, hey, I saw you on the internet. Like, cool, Wade, cool. I'm like, holy cow, you saw me in California? So, I mean, one person shares it, and it travels fast. News travels fast. So I mean, love it.
That's another thing. People shouldn't get discouraged about how many likes and whatever on their video because of that. It's like, well, we've had that many views. Those people aren't liking and loving it or commenting, but they are watching it, because on our side, on analytics and seeing how long the video has been watched and stuff. So people will sit there and watch it. Just because they're not interacting doesn't mean that it's not getting seen by good people to end up being your fan, because they'll go and find you on the internet, so.
Yeah. Well, and there's also there's these companies now that will be able to give you better insight. They can like analyze your stuff and they can give you better insight on what it is. So one of the things that I've discovered too is that a lot of times when you see a live video and you're the consumer, you're watching live video, it looks like there's 3 or 4 people watching it live at the same time you are, right?
Yeah.
Well, literally, I'm not even kidding. There's so many hidden views. It has to do with how people's preferences are set up and all these things. And if they're not connected in your network, sometimes you won't even see somebody that's a friend of a friend that's watching that, depending on their network settings.
Yeah.
So you see 3 or 4 people, there's really more like 50 or 60 people that are watching that right then. If you have access to that number later, you can see that. But if you don't, if you're just the general public, or sometimes people that don't have that, have invested in one of those type things, you won't know what it is. And I've discovered recently that, like, I was really impressed, because a lot of times, and then there's different things depending on, because like, especially if it's like, say, YouTube, like an embedded YouTube video. Okay, it's embedded. All right. Well, they're watching it on YouTube, but sometimes because of the way it's embedded, it doesn't show up, like YouTube doesn't know that it's actually being viewed. You know what I mean? And so there's somebody that's like, if you've embedded on your website, and then some demographic type stuff you can find in, I don't know whether YouTube you can do this or not, but depending on what it is or how it is, you can sometimes see that embedded number, and it's a completely different number than the actual YouTube count because it considers it a different. Sometimes it'll just tell you a percentage and you'll have to guess, and then you have to estimate the value. You're like, okay, well, if there's this many people on YouTube and there's a this much percent. So say you had a 77% embedded versus a 4% on the actual YouTube, right? And let's just say you had 25 views on YouTube. Okay. Well, that's 4%, but there was 75% watching it over here on this bed. So take that 4% and figure out that 75 number, what that number will be. And you actually had a considerable amount of views, but it doesn't show up on the YouTube. So then the consumer comes in and they see YouTube and they're like, oh, no, they only got 25 views. But in actuality, that's going to be like 400 people that watched it. You see the number? Crazy. Yes. But I guess maybe it's probably technical, highly technical, and YouTube wants to make sure that they're only telling you what you watched on their site. That's their number. They want that. And then I think the companies also want, they want to keep you on your toes, so you will keep posting content to their site because that's really their gig, They don't want us to let us know we're so cool,
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right on that. Numbers are a metric for kind of analyzing. I would think of them more as metricing what is, like which song's doing better, because you can tell in numbers like that. But yeah, as an artist, if you start thinking about those numbers, you'll just get depressed.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't do that. Don't think about us whether it's not that one song is better than the other as far as artistically or creatively or anything like that. It was better performing with this time of day, this demographic of people, whatever, wherever you were at. This, you just know, okay, well that works better in this audience. And then on another platform, it might be a completely different thing. From Spotify to iTunes, there's a different type of person that are on Spotify versus iTunes.
Yeah.
So your iTunes hit might be a completely different song than the one. And Bandcamp, exactly. Way different crowd on Bandcamp. Those are music people on Bandcamp. People on Facebook are just a wide general spectrum of people. People on YouTube are even different people. Most people on YouTube are looking for, they're looking for information. They're looking for answers, or they're creators. So you got creators. So you can kind of, I think about like what, like if I get a lot of views on Bandcamp, I'm like, okay, this one's really valuable to my peers, So that means something over there. And then Facebook, I'm like, okay, this is commercial value. This is what I would spend money on to try to make money,
Right.
I don't know. I could sit all day and you got me fired up, Dominique. So what if would you, you consider like as what you do a lot of things, and you said call on the scene if you want to be on the balcony session. So how does a band, and how do you actually decide, like if some band is like trying to get a hold of you, how do you do that? What's the process to get them on there?
So they would need to contact us either on the scene 417@gmail.com or on any of our social platforms, and just request to see if there's if they could be on the show. They have to be original artists, so you could play original music, but you can play some covers, mix it up with some covers during the recorded session. But we prefer to have
for Patreon, right?
Yeah.
For the
but we prefer to have the, all original music on Facebook, so Facebook doesn't flag and go, oh, that song. Okay, yeah, we're gonna mute you now. Because this is royalties, kind of thing. So we don't want to have that chance that ends up happening. So yeah, just give us a call. Well, get a hold of us on either, any of our social media platforms, like I said, or our email on the scene417 at gmail.com. And then we'll set you up. It's on Tuesdays that we have them, as long as the weather is okay. Then that could be, even if it's like super freaking hot out, we'll have to end up canceling it because there's no shade. And if there's no going through the year, going through the season, it's not as shady on the balcony like it is earlier in the season. So, but yeah, we usually have it on Tuesdays.
There's definitely a balcony season. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And
So
I mean, and like I said, we're planning on doing other stuff too. So like having us out there at your band rehearsal just to hang out and watch you guys play and do a little video there and I mean we have so many other things going on too. So if a band out there is interested in getting some their music out there in a different creative way, we can do that. And we're always coming up with new ideas. And we'll even, if the band has an idea of something that they would like us to do, I mean, it's usually never a problem. I just have to get with my team to see if it's doable. But yeah, it's usually always doable.
how far out? Like if there was say there was a New York band or a Portland, Oregon band watching the show right now, would they be eligible to be on the scene? What is the parameters for that?
Well, we normally just focus on, the local artists, the local Ozark, 417 area artists, but we are willing to branch out to further, especially if the band is coming to our area and wants to pre-promote
Mhm.
so it'd be kind of hard if they were from Portland, Oregon to be on the balcony session, but before their show. But if they are coming through here as like, don't even have a stop necessarily, but just kind of driving through, we could definitely get them on, and we just need at least a month to 2 month notice to make sure to get them on the calendar because we get filled up pretty fast. But if you're a band out of state that does want to get some pre-promotion before they come here to Springfield to perform. That's we could do that too and do a video like we're doing right now.
Mhm.
And I'll interview them and we'll post that all on our site and stuff. But yeah, we do have different sponsorship options for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. I was just curious. And you personally, you'd probably entertain. I mean, I know you're not necessarily you have a number of things you do, but if somebody did want to get like some marketing or some management work from you or even some agent work, you might consider that on a case by case basis to take
Yeah,
it
it's case by
some
case basis.
yeah. And they would reach out to you the same way who's
Yep,
on the scene
the
or
same way, and just in the subject line, just attention what to me, Dominique, and what it is about. So what kind of
fantastic.
services you might want, because yes, being in the industry as long as I have and and going to school and everything, I'm kind of knowledgeable on things and
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, well, what I see, and I keep talking every time you get me more fired up, and I keep talking. But one of the things I see that I think that you would really be really good at, and you've probably done this to some degree, is if there's a band that doesn't have an exclusive agent, like they're not on a record label yet, but they're doing multiple regions, they're doing bigger tours, and they're playing in even 20 states in America. They're not
Hmm.
playing everywhere, but they are going to different pockets. And then they feel like that they could, like, for instance, let's just say they've got their song out on Spotify and they know based on the results of Spotify that they know that they have a considerable amount of fan base in your town because Spotify tells them all that stuff, right?
Hmm.
So they're looking through there and they're like, wow, we've got a lot of people in Springfield, Missouri that like our music. We should play there, right?
Hmm.
This is how they would decide that. Well, just say they're on the East Coast, they're so far away that they're not connected to what it is. And even when you dive in the internet and you start finding stuff, you'll find things and you'll find venues, but you really don't have the inside track to like make things happen quickly
Hmm.
anyway, right? And
Hmm.
and and even if you did, like it's like how would you find somebody that has this information? So if somebody like you could be a non-exclusive agent for them in that area, they're a touring band that needs your assistance in the 417 area,
Hmm.
you'd say, okay, look, I know what you guys sound like. You would work absolutely awesome here. And then you already have a relationship with the venue and
Oh
you can
yeah.
talk to so
Yeah.
it would really make things a lot better. Then they
Yeah.
wouldn't play in the, they would, what it would do is help them out. It'll help you out, help the venue out. It helps everybody out because the pieces are all put together where they really should be without a lot of guesswork. So the first time they come to town, instead of them coming to, blindly coming to Springfield, playing the wrong venue and it going poorly, and then this band that says, well, we have all these fans in Springfield, but yet we can't make that happen. You know what I mean? You would have that ability. And I think that would be something
Yeah, that
that
is something that I
could
do
really
too.
work.
Recently, there's a band out of Kansas City that got a hold of me just asking where they should look, what venue would be good for them because they were looking because I guess one of the guys used to live here in Springfield long, long time ago, so he's completely out of the loop on where to go, where to have his band. So he did ask my advice, where would you suggest? And so I gave him two venues that I felt that his band would do really well at. And of course, I asked him to make sure to let them know that On the Scene sent them. So it does show the venue as well. It's like, hey, that's the reason why they know about you is because, they reached out to us. And then, yeah, so it helps out the venue and it helps out the musician. I do have like a roster of musicians that that have contacted me, and I'll put them on a list. So if there is a venue that is actually looking for a specific type of artist, then I will, let them know about, hey, I think this one would be good. You should get a hold of them, kind of like that.
Yeah, it's very helpful. And I mean, honestly, it's even helpful. Like, I have reached out to you a couple times. You're in Springfield. You're 100 miles from me, and it's still very helpful for someone 100 miles away. So I can imagine the exponential help it would be for somebody who's 900 miles away.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
just that
It
you can
can
put something
it
together so easily.
Yeah, it can be really hard though, because a lot of these venues, they're already booked up in a year in advance. So even
Mhm.
if I suggest, hey, check out these venues, they might already be booked up. I mean, but at least you know that they exist, so hopefully you could get on their radar for when they start booking again or something like that.
Well,
So
yeah.
I
Then
can't say I could guarantee that I will get you'll get a show right away, but
yeah,
at least you have
yeah.
some type of direction.
Yeah, well, you can start building that rapport with the
Right.
venue, and and
Right.
and then that's going to be like its own thing. Is it gonna work out? Because I mean, there may be other reasons, financial reasons, all kinds of different reasons
Hmm.
why the venue wouldn't be able to work with a certain band because of whatever.
Right. Right.
But they're gonna know that, and then the venue is gonna probably the next step would be the venue would be like, yeah, well, if you need that kind of thing, maybe this one would help. They may point you in, even send you to another venue, or a lot of times, like a venue might say, well, this might be kind of cool. Let's take a chance on this. Let's try this. So they
Hmm.
might change something around, just to do something, accommodate because they think it would. If it's like, I don't know how to say it, but like if it was, the ex guitar player from, band A that we all know who they are, and then, but we don't know who the guitarist band is, and we might not even know his name, but then once we figure that out, oh, wait a minute, that's so and so from though. Then you start checking out their music. You're like, wait a minute, this is really kind of cool. So maybe they are a little out of budget,
Hmm.
but maybe we would like to go ahead and see if we can do that special thing because that would be a special night.
Right.
But even when the first initial thing, hey, I got this band, and maybe it isn't even that guitar player that's the guy that's contacting the venue, it's the singer or whatever. Well, the singer doesn't, you know, doesn't put that together, because you don't want to be just like the band that that's your claim to fame. You want them to know you for what you are.
Hmm.
However, that little bit of information is very helpful in the
Yeah.
promotional side. But a
Right.
lot of times I tell people all the time, I'm like, man, the most important thing about that band that the people want to know and why they want to come to that show, you did not tell them that. You missed the most important detail. And I know it's silly, and I know it's kind of, the band's probably like, that's stupid, but like if you were on The Voice, tell them you were on The Voice. I know The
Yeah,
Voice
you have to
doesn't,
use those kind of
you
things
can't,
because
you can't put the logo on, and I get it, but in there, make sure that information's in there,
right.
like what episode they were on. They can go check it out. Oh, okay. Because I
Right.
mean, it's somebody that had national TV. or at least say, if you can't say the voice, say at least that they were on national TV.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and then when you get on the phone and they're talking, then you can elaborate. But it's like this guy was talking to me the other day about he was going to record at Sun Studios in Memphis, you know.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about like how that would Sun Studios, like you can't use the, you know, logo on your record and all this stuff. So basically all you can do is in the liner notes, you can say it was recorded at Sun Studio. Now, however, if it's a digital release, where do you put the liner notes on digital release?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes there's a place for it, sometimes there's not. So it's going to go under the water. And that's what I was telling him. I was like, well, it's important and it will be kind of beneficial to you. But I really don't think that it's going to help it's not going to help your song sell anymore, really. That it's going to be a personal reference for you that you recorded at Sun Records. It's going to help you out as an artist, but it's not going to help you sell that particular song that you recorded there any more or any less. I don't believe. You know, it's going to have a certain sound and it's a cool factor, but you know, that little tidbit is going to get washed under and you're not going to find that on the digital release. People aren't going to know it. And most of the people that are listening to the consumers are not, doesn't matter where it's recorded to them, you know, it matters to us music people. So for, you know, resume builder for you as an artist, that will be good to have on your resume, but I don't think it'll help sell the song. But on the other hand, the artist that, you know, used to be in Motley Crue or whatever, that was, you know, or Tommy's little brother, you know, but he has a different name. That's information that's going to help your band get more people at the show, you know. So it's funny how that works.
Name dropping. Yeah.
You know, so I don't know. I got off subject. I'm sorry.
All good.
I better call it a day, or we're gonna have the longest episode ever.
Longest episode ever. That's what happens.
The longest podcast ever. Dominique has the world record. So we'll talk again soon, unless you have something
your
else
monthly
you
updates and stuff like that too.
But I'll be on your show soon, but you'll be back here again. We'll be talking again soon. So I appreciate you being on the show and everything. It's great, and we'll talk again soon.
Thanks, Doug. Bye.